That was very impressive. I can't remember the last time I enjoyed an episode like this one. Maybe The Woman Who Fell to Earth? Or Fugitive of the Jadoon? Retrospectively thinking about those episodes, however, I now find them to be merely set up for a big bundle of nothing, whereas this episode may indeed stand the test of time. While Blue Yonder has reinvigorated my excitement for this show, and my hype for the giggle has increased tenfold. However, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. With the upload of my Starbeast review, it should be noted that YouTube's copyright system leaves me with no guarantee that these videos will get monetized. My Starbeast video only went public because I had to appeal the video immediately after re-rendering and re-uploading it 11 times. This therefore put my channel at risk of getting a strike. I will be endeavouring to use less clips in the future, so apologies if you have to sit through me describing moments in the episode instead of showing them. Individual support platforms like Patreon are the best way to support creators like myself, which reminds me, I've had a shake-up of my Patreon tiers. Check them out. I had a great discussion with my patrons on my Discord server last Saturday at 8:15 p.m. UTC. We're going to be doing the same thing again at the same time this coming Saturday, and I would love it if you were an audience participant. All you have to do is make a pledge to any tier on my Patreon page, and as long as your Patreon account is connected to your Discord account, you should be able to see the Simp Stage tab. All patrons can watch the discussion, but only those very generous few can have the opportunity to chat with me voice to voice. Now, without further ado, I'm so excited. Let's get on with the review. The intro with Isaac Newton was lovely. Die-hard Russell T Davies completionists such as myself will recognise Nathaniel Curtis, who previously starred in what I would argue is Davies' magnum opus TV show, It's a Sin. Watch it. I'm deadly serious. Watch it. This trend of softly rewriting moments in history, both real and fictional, is very cheeky, and I really appreciated the Mavity joke being a running gag throughout the episode. Will they keep up the gag in the giggle? We'll just have to wait and see. The way Tennant and Tate synchronise their dialogue so effortlessly is a testament to how great of a pairing they are character and performance-wise. Considering they're only around for one more episode after this one, their reprisals will be sorely missed. Obviously, that doesn't exclude them from returning in the future, but I'm still super hyped to see where the show goes with this clean reset on Christmas Day. In my previous review, I commented on the outro music for these new episodes having this weird breathing over the top. Apparently I was so distracted by the amazing new visuals that I didn't notice them playing during the intro sequence. It's so weird. The TARDIS gets thrown to the outer limits of the universe itself. The fact the TARDIS has been seen hurtling itself onto locations with some serious force due to a lack of control was a brilliant touch. The pair lamenting how the TARDIS has been completely trashed inside was brilliant.
It was brand new.
When the pair evacuate the TARDIS, the Wild Blue Yonder song is heard playing. It's interesting that Donna claimed she was made to sing it in school despite it being a very American song. It's the official song of the US Air Force, and the only science fiction-esque element of this song I could find was that it was played when the Apollo 15 craft left the moon's surface all the way back in 1971. To have the TARDIS then disappear with the sonic screwdriver attached strips this episode down to bare basics. I think it was at this point I figured that we were going to be in for a hell of a ride. An argument between our heroes then ensues, and it is truly one for the ages. Tate delivers Donna's desperation to return home, suggesting all the tricks in the book we all grew accustomed to 15 years ago. It was great that the Doctor couldn't entirely hide the fact that he was still mad about the coffee incident that he previously forgave her for. Their relationship was exemplified so beautifully by the way they held each other, and the score, oh my god, it's just so... it's so emotional. The pair explore the ship and... yeah, I'll concede, the green screen didn't look great in these long corridor sequences, but then again, neither does mine. This became less of an intrusion than it perhaps might, had the script not done such an excellent job of distracting us.
Very big. I'd hate to be the cleaner.
What a perfect example. This is just how down-to-earth Donna is. It reinforces the size of the ship through characterization, seeing the robots so far away from the characters as well, merely a speck in the frame. That immediately gave me Midnight vibes. The nemeses of this episode, dubbed the Not Things, also draw inspiration from that episode through their gradual imitations of the main characters. Though it may be an old trick, it's one that works all the same. The discomfort instilled into this episode is created by a myriad of factors, one of which is Murray Gold's eerie score laid throughout the episode. It was great to hear him write some music that wasn't entirely punctuated by familiar themes. There were also these voyeuristic shots to show that the pair were being watched despite believing they were alone. The silent, rusty robot that looks like Marvin from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy was super mysterious and was designed beautifully. Tennant's reactions and interactions with it were just sublime comedy as well. The pair then arrived at the front of the ship, the set of which was designed down to the minute details. The walls are lined with water flowing through them, and you can also see marks indicating a written language for the horse alien captain dotted across the place. The episode then establishes the setting, with the ship being located at the edge of the universe. That idea alone sent serious shivers down my spine.
It would take 100 trillion years to reach your house.
Davies really likes to outdo himself, doesn't he? Ordinarily, I think his limits would be set to time, but now we see how far in space he wants to take us. With Donna asking where the stars are, I was getting flashbacks to Wilf in the episode Turn Left. It cannot be understated how significant stars being in the sky are for Donna, so this question just carries so much weight. The score here was absolutely blood-curdling, and these exterior shots of the ship were wonderful. I love this bulky, practical design and the sinister darkness that surrounds it. You get such a sense of scale from the way the shot moves from this little drone camera to following the ship's entire length. And, as we all know, hexagons are bestigons. Can I do a hexagon with my fingers? I don't have that many joints. No, there's no way. The hexagonal design of the exterior correlates with this beehive-like server room. When the Doctor licked this plate thing and pretended to die, I nearly died with laughter. You guys realize these plates are coated with hair gel, right? David Tennant licked a plate slathered in hair gel. What a commitment to the role! The other room also has this aquarium-esque lighting shone onto the characters that enhances this idea of the liquid acting as the lifeblood of the ship. The pair then separate, and it is here that the clones begin their assimilation. It's awesome watching this episode a second time, guys. You get to see both how limited the clone Doctor's facial expressions are and how little he actually says whilst Donna rambles on about her family. It's great how the tiniest little changes that might ordinarily be ignored make this sequence so unsettling.
And Wilf, your grandfather? What would he do?
Of course, both characters know Wilf is her grandfather, yet this line comes off as though the clone Doctor is just reading an information file on Donna and her family. The same can be said about clone Donna's rather empty question about whether the Doctor misses Gallifrey.
Do you miss home, Gallifrey?
This comes right after Tennant delivers this beautiful monologue about the Tardis, painting a picture of where it might be and how it will outlive civilization itself. There is also the fact that the editors cut back and forth between the two rooms, creating a very intentionally jarring mismatch of understanding as to what's going on. I, for one, believed that some kind of flash forward was happening. For the episode to then reveal that both scenes were in fact occurring at the same time, accompanied by this line.
My arm's too long.
This absolutely startling image, developed by some very simple camera trickery and some of the most amazing prosthetics work I've ever seen in a TV program. Holy hell, this moment shook me to the core. This sequence just has so much going on. From characters being developed as they lament what they are missing, to straight up body horror. Tennant's giant hands being dragged along the floor. Donna's third knee. These disturbing effects were created by photographing the actors with 204 cameras in this little booth, essentially doing a body scan, and then 3 days later these giant arms were born. I'm so happy that these weren't CGI. There was, however, a CGI moment with the Doctor's jaw dropping, and I literally typed, "Oh my God, I'm so scared." For our heroes to then be chased down the corridor by creatures that grew so big that they got themselves wedged in a wall of flesh. That was just awesome. I imagine this is what putting two human beings into a washing machine for a couple of hours would look like. It's a terrific fusion of effects displayed in the episodes Forest of the Dead and The Almost People. I know the use of green screens didn't make this sequence look terrifically convincing, but the bombardment of great ideas and the flooding of tension kept me completely hooked throughout this action sequence. It was just so funny as well. Separating the pair in such a creative way ramped up the tension further, as the pair had no means of confirming who was clone and who wasn't. These dark and claustrophobic sets of corridors the pair found themselves in, whilst some incomprehensibly large entities are tapping away outside. It's frightful stuff. I also really liked the explanation that things got cold when the creatures expanded. Just seeing the characters getting filled with dread when they can see their breath was enough to instill anxiety into me. The two pairs then test each other to figure out who's the clone. Another prime example of acting and writing, and possibly my favourite sequence in the episode. Absolute props to the handling of the timeless child and flux moments being highlighted in this episode. I did wonder if Jodie's era would be addressed beyond falsely proclaiming that the Doctor being a woman could be nothing but a good thing. What I thought would be a simple repressing of memories on the part of the audience and the Doctor, we are instead forced to confront that those episodes weren't in fact just a fever dream.
So yes, I keep running, of course I do. How am I supposed to look back on that? It wasn't your fault. I know!
Tennant and Tate produced more emotion talking about this in one episode than 13 and her companions did across 3 entire series. And the score! The way that they broke the tension with the clone revealing itself in such a hurtful and horrifying way, mocking the Doctor for showing a softer side. God almighty! His reaction taking out his pent-up anger on this wall was so heartbreaking.
But what really happened?
A knot.
It's unsurprising the Doctor doesn't want to talk about this stuff. And with that, I hope that they can leave the past behind them. Perhaps I too can now move on. Both heroes in both scenarios were talking about their birthplaces to prove themselves to be genuine. Donna's birth story is significant because it establishes the touchy relationship Sylvia and her share. It is an attempt to break Donna down, especially with this horrific way Tennant's head screams at her from between his legs.
Auntie Iris, Mummy and Daddy.
Why would he want to be with someone as stupid as you? Honestly, for me, the uncanny visuals in this episode actually complement its unsettling tone. After that insanely intense end to the second act, I genuinely said out loud, "Come on, third act, don't fail me now." Needless to say, it did not. For the most part. Having all 4 characters in this episode in this one room, Donna proclaiming this adventure to be the biggest nightmare of her life, that might be the understatement of the century. I just love how distinct the clones were after being revealed. They were way less expressive, and yet that just simultaneously added to their sinister nature.
Salt!
Where were you hiding that?
You really don't want to know.
I was a little confused as to why Clone Donna felt the need to count the grains of salt though. If the Doctor had salt on him the whole time, surely the Clone Doctor would also have had a salt shaker? How do you run around for the entire episode with that in your pocket and not have a pocket filled to the brim with salt as a result? They return to the front of the ship where another big pane of glass separates the characters. I swear to God if Davies pulls that same trick in the next episode. I loved the idea that when our heroes express fear, the chemicals that are created in their brain actually accelerates the cloning process. This leads to the pair practicing meditation for about 10 seconds before they realize they just aren't cut out for such blissful experiences. Now, with all the pieces of the puzzle in place, a picture can be created. Unfortunately, as they were figuring this out, there was a spike of rather jarring ADR dialogue.
You'd have owned this spaceship! If you copied her perfectly, you could have flown this ship home and started your war. So...
And annoyingly, this didn't just happen once, but twice in the same scene.
Been counting down for years, but the Tardis brought us here just in time for the final sequence.
No, I don't think it had any intention of doing any such thing. If this is true, that means the TARDIS bringing them here actively jeopardized the horse astronauts' plan. I was happier with the idea that an element of randomness was at play. The coffee spilling into the TARDIS would cause a malfunction wherein nobody was truly in control of it. I don't think the Doctor or his time machine would have actively gone out of their way to mess with such fundamental moments in time, such as the discovery of gravity on Earth or the destruction of insidious aliens at the edge of the universe. Why was this line put in here? Ultimately, we are led back to the big green screen corridor for a final chase sequence. With the clones being so close to perfection, the chase felt fairer than the last one. Until the clone Doctor got on his hands and knees and bounded off like an apex predator. The Doctor pushing the TARDIS like a Back to the Future 2 hoverboard was great stuff. The final element of this chase is the Doctor hastily choosing the wrong Donna.
That other Donna was a 99.9% copy.
This was essentially a coin flip. Best case scenario, Donna boards the TARDIS and the scan comes clean. The alternative is the outcome we got, and I don't think he was able to base his decision on either Donna's answers. Thank God the Doctor can press this eject button on the console though. This was some sweet funky business. I really loved this shot as well. No words, just a slow zoom so we can absorb every inch of their traumatized expressions. And what a goddamn treat it was to see Wilf at the end as well.
He would install himself with a sleeping bag and a thermos, and he would sit there forever.
That image that Donna allows us to generate in our minds was enough to satisfy the bizarre convenience of him showing up right on cue for the TARDIS to arrive. His fangirling absolutely ripped my heart out, and it's even sadder because, according to Unleashed, this is Bernard Cribbins' final scene. They filmed this scene 2 months before he passed away, and what a scene it was. I honestly can't wait to find out why The Last of Us is happening in Camden.
I haven't retired. It's a dirty word. I'm just not chosen as much as I used to be, because I'm 93, you know.
Rest in peace, you beautiful man. So, did it suck? What an episode. This is exactly what was needed. This is basically their equivalent of going out for coffee for a catch-up. The element I can give the biggest praise to this episode: performances. Performances. God, these two made me emote constantly. The Doctor repressing the weight of the past 15 years was heart-crushing. Donna bearing responsibility for her family and longing to return to them was an absolute credit to her character development, concluding perfectly with that scene with Wilf. The situation they found themselves in was absolutely balmy. Not only was I howling with laughter, but I felt genuine fear at times too. An insanely high-stakes episode. I loved every second. You can't go too wrong with a bottle episode with the characters being trapped on a base with a monster. Yeah, the CGI definitely hurts this episode from time to time, and there are those bits of unnecessary ADR dialogue too. Otherwise though, I believe this episode to be a return to form. I give Wild Blue Yonder a 9 out of 10. That's probably why it goes all weird. Me moving around like that is giving it ripples. I should just sit still like a good little boy. Children should be seen and not heard.